toy fans, Aaron here. It's crazy. We're 2 weeks after the launch of the Solo toys, and I'm still trying to track everything down from that opening day. I know I'm looking for the Wampa and the, how do you say it, Enfys Nest? Anyways, I'm still trying to get his speeder bike as an opener also. Just curious, how's your hunting for Solo product going if you're tracking any of that down still? Anyways, though, for today's review, we're checking out the Vintage Collection Hoth Trooper. So let's head to that table and check this one out. And a quick look at that packaging. This is, of course, the vintage style release. That gets you the Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back logo up top with that racetrack around it. Great image of the Hoth Trooper in the Hoth environment off to the side there. And of course you see the included figure through the bubble. Now, one thing to note on this release is while the figure itself is a reissue of one that we received before already with the Search for Luke Skywalker multi-pack and Defense of Hoth battle pack as well. The one thing though from the Search of Luke Skywalker, this figure did have an added accessory that's not included here, but otherwise, this is the first release of this figure as a single carded version. And now onto the back side of the card, where what we have here is an exact duplicate of the other 5 figures that were just released in the line. The only difference here is the number up top. This is VC120 in the lineup. Aside from that, on the top half of the card within this little Star Wars Racetrack Vintage Collection logo, you got the total of 6 figures that are available in the line right now, with a very brief write-up about really just about the Vintage Collection as a wave of figures. Bottom half of the card, just a bunch of legal information. And looking at the figure out of the packaging, we got a pretty good looking figure here. As I already mentioned, this is one that we've seen before, just not a single carded release. This time around, everything's pretty much the same detail-wise. It's just a slight color variation on this paint application that we're getting. Unfortunately, I don't have a loose one out, and the one that I have is packed away, so I can't really pull it out for reference. But I think the colors on this one are lighter from photos that I've seen of what was previously released. Going in on that head area, he's got this removable scarf, hat, goggle set. Nice sculpting and detailing to that, and a pretty decent paint job. It's molded in that brown plastic with the white and green being painted on. It does sit pretty nicely on the head, and of course you do still see a little bit of that face poking through, and then you can just slide that right off the top of his head to reveal his regular plain head underneath. And what we have here is probably just a generic face sculpted on. It's looking pretty good. Nice sculpting to the face, the hairline and stuff. As you can see, the eyebrows and the eyes are painted pretty nicely. I'd say they're not quite equal. The screen left as you're looking at it seems to be raised up just a little bit more than the right side. But you know, as I'm holding it arm length away, it's not really that noticeable. One big standout on this figure is that the flesh tones of the neck does not really match the face at all. It's quite a dark peach color around the neck area, but that face is pretty pale looking. Going in on the main body, you got a lot of sculpting and quite a bit of paint application detailing also. On the top of his right shoulder, as you see it, he's got a little gray and a little bit of blue and red painted in there. Lots of quilted patterns sculpted on the forearms and that touch of dark gray at the top of the shoulder. Through the chest area itself, that outer vest has pretty decent sculpting with some little lines and stuff in there. And whatever these black and silver things are on the bottom side of his chest. And then you got a nice sculpted and painted piece on the left side of his chest. Your right side as you're looking at it. I'm not looking at this as close as the camera's probably able to pick it up, but the blues are painted in quite nicely. You got a little bit of black thrown in there and a touch of red. And then on his left arm, same sculpting as the other side, a little bit of quilting on that forearm. And then for that glove, it's got like this comm panel of some sort sculpted and painted in. That's looking pretty good. And even the gloves have a little bit of two-tone painting going on. As it turns around to the backside, you're going to get a good look at the backpack he has on. Pretty nice sculpt going on here. You got some silver painting highlighting like the silver cable running around the back of it, the antenna piece, and some other silver painting for whatever these other parts are on the back. And in case you're wondering, that backpack is indeed removable. You can just pull it out. It's got a little peg on the back side, slides right into his back there. The belt area of the figure has a good look to it. He's got a working holster so he can hold the small blaster pistol that he comes with. A little bit of silver paint buckle detailing, and then that pouch, as you can see, is also painted brown. This figure, as you can see, also utilizes some soft goods to kind of carry the look of that longer coat that he's wearing. It's going to allow some more flexibility for the articulation that the figure has. And then getting through the legs, of course, you got your sculpted pant legs. Around the kneecap area, you got some quilting on the fabric being shown off. But otherwise, as for the boots, they're kind of, your heavy winter boots. And it certainly looks that way. You kind of got some poofiness to them. You got some nicely painted straps going around the top of the boots. And then the shoes themselves are looking pretty decent also. As far as the articulation goes, the head is on a ball joint. So even with this scarf on, and it's nice and soft, you're not going to get a hindrance of any movement with the head turning. It rolls right over the shoulder quite nicely. You still get your bobbing and your little bit of tilting up and down. That, of course, if you don't have the scarf on, you're going to get much more. As for the arms, you're going to be able to get those both swinging all the way around. And then they come out, let's see, pretty much straight out. Get this guy in place there. At the elbow area, of course, you get your bend. You can go straight and you can go about 90 degrees there. You got your swiveling. And then for the wrists, both hands do swivel around. No side-to-side movement. As for the waist area, you're going to get your side-to-side. When you got this backpack on, it's going to run into this little, if you could see it there, whatever this is on the belt. So it's kind of going to push that out a little bit. It's not really that big of a deal, I don't think, for me. And then here you got until it hits the pouch. As for the legs of the figure, at the waist area, you're just going to get them coming straight out. This holster does not hinder any movement, and it's loose around the legs, so that doesn't stop anything. And again, with that soft good being used through there, nothing hindered there. Back all the way if you wanted to for whatever reason. But no splits or anything here. At the knee area, you get your single joint, and that bends about like so. And then you also have some swiveling at this point as well. And then for the feet, you can bring that foot forward, take it backwards, and then, of course, swivel that around. And that is a straight swivel at the top of the foot, if you will. Of the accessories he comes with, one is this blaster rifle you see here. Great sculpt to it, nice detailing in the sculpt of this weapon. No special paint applications or anything to it. It does fit nicely in his right hand. He's got his little trigger finger extended. And the strap that you see coming from the front end of the gun around to the back is molded to go around the hand. And that's something that I really appreciate them taking the time to do. Because on these larger weapons that have these straps, they can get in the way if they're not allowing the hand to slide in there. And in this case, it does sit nicely. And of course, with all the articulation this figure has, no problem getting that left hand up to do a two-handed pose with it. One on the barrel end, one at the trigger finger end. So this is looking pretty good. And the second weapon he comes with is just this little blaster pistol. Decent sculpting to that. Same as the other weapon. No special paint applications to it, just your molded colored plastic. Does fit nicely in his right hand, as I mentioned already. That trigger finger is extended, and this little blaster pistol does slide in quite nicely into his holster. So overall, it is a good looking figure. I definitely like that the scarf is removable, the little head wrap, so that if you bought a couple of these, it kind of gives you some variations if you're an army builder. As I mentioned, this is a figure that has been released in a multi-pack, so getting him now on a single-carded release is definitely good, at least for me, because like I said, I still like receiving those single-carded released figures that, you know, hang on the wall. And so that wraps up this look at the Vintage Collection Hoth Rebel Soldier. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.